Right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to say a bright and sunny day. It's now raining a little in the beautiful Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I am Simone Claxton, president and founder of the Sapphire Miriam Foundation, a nonprofit organization incorporated in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. It's indeed a pleasure to be here yet another day. Thank God for health, strength, and life, and for being here with you wonderful ladies and gentlemen. We have a couple of gentlemen with us this morning, Mr. Brendon James and Mr. Aaron Williams. They will be our special guests. And I welcome all you ladies from all over the Caribbean and all over the world. Today is World Cleanup Day. So we will be celebrating community, we will be celebrating country, and we'll be celebrating cleanup. So 3 C's, community, country, cleanup, as well as the environment, of course. Okay, so community, country, and the environment, and cleanup. So our girls did some projects from various territories. So after the presenters, we'll be discussing and showcasing their projects. Right, guys, so who are we starting with? Is it Mr. Brendon James or Mr. Aaron Williams?
We'll be starting with Mr. Williams, although I prefer to refer to him as DJ Aaron 868.
DJ Aaron.
Yes, he's a co-host on 2 projects I work on. One is a talk show radio program called The Living Room on the only 100% local music radio station in Trinidad and Tobago, WAC 90.1 FM. He's also a podcast co-host with a project we have called Inquisitive Minds, which is focused on intellectual discussion, but from a ground level, trying to break down the boardroom so that the man on the street could understand the types of decisions that are occurring around him. Aaron Williams is also a finance professional. He's had counseling experience, and he's also, well, as we've seen and will see, a communications and media expert with a focus on nation building and positive content. So, Mr. Williams, I don't know if you're ready to have a little conversation with us this morning.
And as we welcome Mr. Williams, I just want to acknowledge our sponsors, National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago and the Unit Trust Corporation for making these sessions possible. Thank you very much to our sponsors, and welcome Mr. Aaron Williams, DJ 868. Pleasure to have you with us today.
Good morning, everyone, ladies and gents. It only looks like Ricardo is here. Just as we always say, Ricardo, I am so glad for this opportunity. And also I am waiting for the footage of that introduction so I could post it to all social media platforms.
Happening.
Right?
Not happening.
Right, so good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing good. The weather is good, because as Simone said, thunderstorm and rain in Trinidad and Tobago this morning, all right? Now, I'm here to talk about culture and community. 2 things that I'm very passionate about. Now, I'll just give a little more background information. I was born in a small village known as St. Martin in South Trinidad. 30 plus years ago. I'll just leave it at that nice round figure, right? I come from a pretty big family in this community. So as the age-old saying goes, it takes a community to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a child, to be exact. And I was privileged to be raised by this village, right? To the point where this morning I'm actually here because there's a health fair and I have to host it, apparently. That I didn't know, right? So let's get talking about, firstly, culture, because from what I gather, everybody in this meeting this morning is from a different part of the Caribbean. So that means everyone has a different culture, right? So really quickly, just my talk this morning is centered around 5 questions, 5 basic questions. So I'll encourage engagement with each and everyone, right? What is culture to you? Don't be afraid. There's nothing like a wrong answer. What is culture? What do you think your culture is? So hopefully, let me just continue, right, in the interest of time.
Can I answer?
Oh, yeah, you can.
Go ahead.
Culture, in my opinion, is the beliefs or customs of a particular group of people.
Right? That is actually a very good answer, right? Because the belief could be the way that you pray, or the norms, the cultural norms that you have. It could be the things that you eat. And trust me, if you all know me well, I love to eat. Food is like my best friend, right? The games that we play. I don't know how much you all know about hopscotch and moral and things like that. The art that we create, because in Trinidad and Tobago, we boast that we have the greatest show on earth, that's Carnival. The music that we produce. I know of the islands, there's Zouk, there's Jab Jab if it's Grenada. There are different variations to what we do here in Trinidad and Tobago, that's soca and calypso. The way that we dress, that's also part of our culture. And the most interesting one is the way that we communicate, the things that we say. That all those things make up what our culture is, all right? And that culture has not been forged overnight. It has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. The things your grandparents used to do were passed down to your parents, that was passed down to you. And when you have children, you're going to pass it down to them as well. All right. Now, as I said, it's not built overnight. And one of the things that I picked up at first when I entered the room today was the song that Ricardo was playing. Right. And there are two lines that stood out to me. It's my choice, and I choose to change the world. And I'd be the change that I want to see in the world as well. I may be paraphrasing, all right? But those two lines in that song stood out to me because admittedly, there are things in our culture that we would want to alter, that we would want to change. So the next question that I'm centering this around is, if there's one thing about your culture that in the country you live in or the community that you live in that you would want to change, what would that be? And I want to start with Ricardo with this one. I know he's not a participant in the program, but I know Ricardo is a very vocal person in the things that he sees and the things that he wants to affect change in, which is why I think he's a part of a program like this.
Yes, Niran, I'm going to have to ask you to repeat the question. I was reading some back-end business in the chat here.
Oh, no problem. No, Ricardo, I'm saying if there's one thing about the culture that you'd want to change, the culture of your community or your country, one thing, Ricardo.
Wow, you put me on a spot to choose one. The one thing that I would change is that we are too passive as a people. We always wait for someone else to do something. We always have a complaint, but we very rarely take action. We don't utilize the channels that are available to us. So that one thing would be that we are not actively engaging. We are not intentional. That is the type of thing I would change.
Now, you see, ladies, there's always within the experiences that you come across within your life, there are things that you would notice that need to be changed. So Ricardo is saying that he wants to change it so that we are more intentional. And something that he and I agree on is that we hold persons accountable, right? Now, for me, the one thing I would choose is that we need to be more passionate about our culture. Because within the Caribbean, and I'll be very frank with you all, we have endured many years of colonialism. So to adopt our own culture and be proud of our culture has been something that we have struggled with for years. So as Ricardo said in my lovely intro, I work on the only culture crazy radio station, the only culture station in Trinidad and Tobago, 100% local content. And that is why I choose to be there. Because I am passionate about the music of Trinidad and Tobago, the culture of Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to do my part and be intentional to ensure that that music is pushed forward. Now, that doesn't mean as a DJ, I don't play all other genres of music. I play dancehall, I play pop, I play hip hop, not really. I play funk, I play everything. But I love my culture so much, it speaks through all my work, that at least, I haven't said this in a while, but at least 86.8% of the content that I put out features local music. And why 86.8%? Because the area code of Trinidad is 868. So when I align my brand to my mission, which is to make sure the culture of our country is pushed forward. Right? Now, I realized I got some trouble before asking your questions and persons willingly choosing to respond. So I'm going to ask Simone this one. What is community? What is a community to you?
Hi, a community is a very broad topic to me. This doesn't include, it includes the family unit around you. It includes your neighborhood, direct neighborhood. It includes, say you live in Trinidad, it includes the south of the island, it includes the whole island. I think a community could be as broad as you could put it, and the change, needs to start from within your family unit, because that's the closest community to you. It's the people around you, it's the support, systems around you. And that's basically what community, means to me, that support system and the people around you. And then growing out into the wider community, your neighbors on the street, your neighbors in the wider village area, your neighbors in the district, if you live in the south of the island, the east, the west, and then going forward, because we are a community, even as a Caribbean community, as CARICOM nations. So it could be as broad as possible.
Excellent answer. Now, the catch in it is, we belong to one of the largest communities in the world. It's called the human race, where each and every one of us share a unique bond of being the person that we are, forged in the image and likeness of God. All right. Now, as real as it is, your community, as Simone said, starts with the basic nucleus of your home, your immediate family, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, if you have that bigger family. All right. So for me, my immediate community is my mom, my dad, and my brother. And each one of us forge along the lines that we want to do better. We want to be better. As Ricardo and I say in the living room, we want to be better citizens, right? We want to improve the living conditions of the areas which we came from. So, for example, my mother, for the past 25 years now, has been the manager of the St. Madeleine Regional Complex, where she pours back into her community where she was born. And in turn, she has my brother and I heavily involved in that community, where any event that we do most likely bases here, because we want to build that community, right? Now, the importance of community is because it is a group of people that come from a similar background as you or have similar values as you, be it as simple as where you live. It could be as simple as what you think, or even the beliefs that you are trying to impart on the world. So if, let's say, for example, as Ricardo said, we are on projects like the Living Room and Inquisitive Minds, we are forging a community of persons who want to see better being done. As such, we have guests ranging from economists to, but we haven't had any soca artists or anything like that. But yeah, Ricardo, we'll fix that. But we have economists, we have had doctors, we have had, help me out here, Ricardo. We have had teachers,
lawyers,
lecturers,
teachers,
lawyers,
businessmen and businesswomen, single parents. We've had several therapists, mental health specialists, counselors. We have a very huge focus on mental health.
Yeah.
We've pretty much had athletes, teachers, coaches, members of social and religious groups, that type of thing. Politicians.
Thanks. Oh yes, I forgot that one.
Oh, and beauty queens, beauty pageant contestants.
Yeah, we have actually had the representative for Trinidad and Tobago Miss Universe 2022 before she was the representative for Miss Universe. All right. So we have curated a community of persons that are making an impact in society. And I think that is what's important. So not to be too long-winded and go too much into this long speech that I would have written like 1 o'clock this morning. It's basically culture and community is intertwined, because the culture is the basis of how your community acts. But the community that you forge can be curated to one that you want. So let's put it this way, and I'll end off with a really transparent story about myself. When I was younger, I happened to move to an area of ill repute in San Fernando. And because of the culture of the area, I realized that that was not for me, right? I chose many means to get out of that community because of the culture. I chose sport, I chose music, and I chose education. And those 3 pillars are what have guided me to the man that you see before you here today. When I say education, I studied accounting, as Ricardo said. When I say music, I don't really talk about this much, but I have sung in musicals. I've been in my church choir, and I'm an avid karaoke singer. Yeah, not good, because as you see, rain falling, and I sang last night, right? And with music, I'm a DJ. So the 3 pillars that I chose to change the community that I was in and to also change the culture were those 3 that I mentioned. But I didn't stop there. I continued forging those aspects and trying to impart knowledge into the younger generation. Because as they say, knowledge hoarded is knowledge wasted, right? So which is why I choose that if there are young DJs out there that want, I can't say learn the craft, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't have the time to teach it. But if there's anybody that wants advice on DJing, my email is always open. If there's a young person that wants career advice, my phone is always there. I may not answer the first ring, but I always answer at some point. If there's somebody who wants to learn about the culture and wants to come and have a conversation, I'm always open to that, because to have these things and to see the younger generation drifting away sometimes from what we know as the culture of our country is disheartening. But to bring the culture and carry it forward and keep the sense of community going, we all have a responsibility. As Ricardo and I have said in the living room, it takes a village to raise a child, but there's an I in village, and I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to be the change that I want to see in the world. And to be that change, you have to act the change. So if you want to do better, you have to be better. All right. I think that's the end there.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful speech and words of encouragement. And as Aaron said, we really have to be that change that we want to see. And it starts within our families and within our immediate communities. Because, we always complain, within our country that this isn't going right and that isn't going right. But if we don't start to do something about it from as little as we can within our own community, then we cannot see that change, on a wider scale within our country. And we can impact, that change. And we're never too small, to impact that change, even as teenagers. Now is a good time to start, right? Hence the reason why the activity for the Trinidad girls started with that show of leadership and engaging our systems, the political systems that we have in place to support our community, which are our counselors. And the project entailed actually reaching out to the offices of these counselors and making them aware of certain issues within your community that you see that need to be changed, that need to be, fixed or upgraded, etc. Certain environmental issues. And as young leaders, when we reach out to the persons, responsible, and we make them aware and we engage and, we become advocates for our community, we will see that change, okay? So hence the reason behind that project. That project was to, bring out the leadership skills, your organizational skills, and to help you engage, with your community and to make that change that you would like to see. Because I'm sure that you pass by every day and you notice these things and, you don't do anything about it. But today has been an opportunity, the World Cleanup Day has been an opportunity for you to identify and to make that change within your community. Thanks so much, Aaron, for that. We really appreciate it.
There's one thing that I forgot to say.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know the average age of the young ladies in here, but there's something that is at your fingertips that is very helpful if you want to affect change. When Ricardo and I and Simone were growing up, we didn't have as much access to the internet as you do. And some of my favorite things that I happen to watch on YouTube and Instagram are from content creators. Content creators who want to see better and do better. One of my favorites locally is someone called Hot Foot Harmony. She recently did a series discussing the Magnificent Seven in Trinidad and Tobago, something I didn't even know about, the history behind those buildings around the Queen's Park Savannah. Another one of my favorite content creators is Joshua Grello, who has changed the face of steel pan in Trinidad and Tobago to make steel pan now trend amongst the youths. So if there's something that you have and you want to say, you have a phone with a camera, just make sure you have a good mic. If you have a computer, make sure you could do a little video editing. If not, the University of YouTube is there for you. You could learn anything on YouTube. When I say anything, anything. I learned to bake lasagna via YouTube.
I learned Muay Thai over YouTube.
What's
and then
that?
with Muay Thai kickboxing.
Okay.
Yeah. And then with a trainer, of course, because you can't go wrong with mentorship.
Yeah. Right.
Aaron, I do have a question to interject and to signal the age group of the young ladies here, generally 12 to 19. We'll have a couple older and a couple younger. But what I want to ask you is, how old were you when you got into DJing?
Wow. Let me make sure my mom don't happen to walk in the office now. I started playing music at the age of 16, hiding from my parents.
So the thing that you felt inside of your heart was a part of you, and you explored this thing. Now they actually have you doing this as part of their community work, as a part of. I just wanted to put it out there now.
And I'm going to say, so sometimes the talent that you have and the message that you want to send is not in full agreement with what your parents has aligned for you. Right? I'm not saying go and disobey your parents. Go to school and get an education, but also work on what you think your passion is at the same time. Right?
Yeah, we can't change the world by repeating the one that they gave to us.
Correct.
Just putting it out there.
Good advice. And I think, getting that sound education is important, yet, as young people now, it's a different generation and they have different, passions as opposed to when we were growing up because of, technology, etc. So they still have to, explore that within the limits of, parental consent, etc. And possibly within the future, it may become, their reality.
Yeah. I would like to also point out that changing the world that you live in sometimes is really just as simple as changing the space that you occupy. It does not have to be a grand sweeping gesture. Sometimes it could just be continuing the small thing long enough that it becomes habit. Culture is a culmination of habit. Culture is not something that happens once. Culture is a thing that you're likely to do. Culture is a thing that you're likely to see expressed. So if you throw a party, you don't have a party culture. You've thrown a party. If you've picked up trash one day, you're not an environmentalist. You just picked up trash. Ultimately, the behavior that you repeat is a reflection of your culture. So sometimes it could be something as simple as showing up on time. They would say that you're a very timely person, that you're disciplined. Sometimes it's as simple as being polite. They will say that you're well spoken or that you were raised properly. The fact remains is to make an impact and to establish a culture doesn't have to be a big thing. It just has to be consistent. It has to be consistent. So
That is so
And
true.
in tribute to World Cleanup Day, as I make my exit, we would have usually ended the living room by saying, "Don't use styrofoam," right? Don't litter, guys, because this one cork in my hand here, if everybody throws a cork in the river, it adds up. And eventually you'll complain that the government ain't cleaning up when it flooded in Port of Spain after 2 minutes of rain. Don't litter.
good job,
Thanks,
man.
Aaron.
All right, guys, have a great day.
Thank you.
Wait, does it?
Yeah.
Wait, that's how you sign out. That is how
Oh.
you sign out.
Wow, I didn't know I had to do that this morning. As I always leave any radio program or anything like that, I always say that love is the currency. So spend some today. Let somebody know that you love them, guys, because you never know which day will be their last. All right, I'm gone. Let me go host the show for mommy before she come and unplug the laptop.
Thanks very much for your time, Aaron.
All right, guys.
Appreciate.
Thanks, bro.
Okay. Over to you, Ricardo.
Yeah. So that was DJ Aaron 868, Aaron Williams. He was I'm a couple of years older than Aaron. I knew him as a young boy when I was leaving school. And when life is so funny, your community is a thing that is larger than we give credit. I knew Aaron as a child. And then when I was in my 30s, Aaron invited me to be a guest on his radio program. And that is how I got into communications and media, as a guest of someone that I knew 20 years before, but had never really engaged with. What I'm saying is that your community, they are the people around you. They're the things around you. Because you know what community includes the trees, the environment, animals. It includes just the way that you treat your space. So always try to be respectful and to try to deal with people in as positive a manner as possible, because you have no idea how much of your community they are going to become. 2 years ago, most of the people in this room did not know each other. And now we've forged a community. We are creating an impact. We are trying to build a positive space. So let us use what we have available to us. It might not be everything. It might not be all the money. It might not be the biggest platforms, but that doesn't mean that you can't make a change. I believe I saw Brendon James come in earlier. I'm not sure if he's here now.
Yeah,
man,
just
I'm here. How you doing?
Hey, Brendon, how you doing, sir?
What's up? What's up?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure which way to start introducing you. Brendon James is an energy expert, a health and safety professional. He is a economist by hobby. He is a change management specialist. He has more degrees than Pythagoras theorem. Uh, Brendon James is also, besides being a very good friend of mine and a co-host of my podcast, well, our podcast, Inquisitive Minds, he is the vice president of the Sustainability Institute of Trinidad and Tobago. He has a passion for environmental, climate change, and renewable energy matters. He has a passion for the economics of the world trade system. He has a passion for people. Oh, and also he's a huge anime fan, a huge Japanese anime fan. I'm just putting it out there because he's also someone who appreciates culture. So, Brendon, thanks for joining us this morning in the Sapphire Miriam Foundation Dream Big Girls Empowerment Program.
Thank you very much. Everybody's hearing me clearly, right?
Hearing you loud and clear.
yes, we are.
All right, excellent. All right. Thank you, Ricardo, for that introduction. And how to start? I deliberately didn't come with too much of a structure because my normal nerd self is to deliver a whole PowerPoint and with all the graphs and stuff like that, right? So, but I wanted this to come from the heart, so you kind of get a sense of like who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And you know, a few years ago, I decided when we had the 2008 financial crisis, I was obsessed about understanding what broke down. What was happening globally that really causes big failure. Now, for some in the room, it may not necessarily be a big deal, but for me, it was huge because I was in the middle of my career or quarter of my career, and I had to see, the organization and my country, and then other countries in the Caribbean had to make some hard decisions. And I decided to go back to school and study finance. And then I remember having a conversation with Ricardo, and we were talking about, okay, does this really align with what I really want to do? And he helped me, kudos to him, make the best decision I ever made, which was to go and study sustainability. And in going into study that, I was lucky enough, because of my grades and so forth, to go on a trip sponsored by the Chinese embassy to China, and I was able to see what was happening across there. And when I came back to Trinidad, I was like, oh boy, we in trouble. All of us, we in trouble. You know why? Because what I was able to see is the industrial might of China pivot to more sustainable and environmentally friendly processes, systems, industries, technology in a huge way, which means the world will have to follow. But in the context of what we're talking about in terms of world cleanup there, I want to kind of bring across a very basic concept, and which would be, the framework around what I'm going to speak about, which is the circular economy. Everything that we do, we enjoy. The clothing that we wear, the food that we eat, the water that we drink, the air that we breathe, the fun that we have with our family members running in the savannah, all those things, everything comes from the environment. Our entire way of life comes from the environment. Now think about that for a minute. Everything. But do we value the environment? And I'm not saying value from the point of view of not just caring about it, because I think most people care. I think most people do care about the environment. But I'm talking about value in terms of dollars and cents. Does the environment add value? No, the easy answer to that is yes, it does. I mean, it's basic. It does add value. But why don't we treat it like it adds value? Now think about it. If the environment, let's say if it's natural beauty and we have tourism, or it's diverse animals, plants and animals, and we have ecotourism, but yet we pollute and we do things that we know will destroy the environment, then isn't that like shooting yourself in the leg and then hoping to run a race and expect to win? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that the thing that keeps our lives the way it is and helps improve our lives is the same thing that we destroy. So the circular economy concept is very, very simple. If we create things and we manufacture things and we use things, do we have to throw it away? This isn't high science. This is the fundamentals here in terms of when we think about economics and process flows and operations, and you hear the professors come on TV and we do the pre-budget debates and we analyze, but let's break it down to what it is. If I create something for everyone to enjoy, for betterment of life, for our economy, for businesses, for society, do I have to, when I got the useful life out of that product or system, have to throw it away? And the easy answer is no. So if that is the easy answer, then why aren't we thinking about the output of these products and services and manufacturing systems? Why don't we look at the output of that and then incorporate that into making the next product, the next system, And let me give some examples. So, like in Trinidad and Tobago, I can give you an example. We have a real issues with road paving. I mean, a lot of potholes, people, cars getting, I mean, we'll be talking about it all the time, right? We have an issue in terms of the amount of companies that have the ability to be able to pave roads, getting some of the products that we need for road paving in terms of bitumen and stuff like that. And we also have a flooding issue, right? Part of the issue with flooding is climate change, but another part of the issue with flooding is the fact that people just throw things out in the public, and then all those plastic bottles and plastic waste gets into rivers and streams and municipal drainage systems, plugs things up, water backs up. But we have also known that we could use that same plastic, crush it up, break it down, mix it with asphalt, and we have a pitch lake in Trinidad, and build better roads. In fact, if you pave roads with plastic, all right, it's stronger, it lasts longer, and it meets the same standards of the roads that you'll use with other materials, traditional materials that you mine from the earth, that creates more pollution. So you have a problem, you have another problem. But if I think about those problems circular, I could actually pull those two outputs together and solve even a bigger problem. Then why we don't do it? Is it that the technology? No, technology existing for a while now. They're doing it all over the place. They just paved the roadway coming into the Emperor Valley Zoo in Trinidad, and they use the technology. So it's not that we don't know what to do. It's being done all over the world. All right, you can see videos of it on YouTube being done in India. So we have this huge patch that is probably as big as Texas out in the Pacific Ocean with plastic. Can we break that down and use that to help build infrastructure? So that is the concept of the circular economy. So when we start thinking about, okay, how am I dealing with my environment? It is about the beach cleanups. It is about doing what you can to encourage and educate people. But I'm also looking, for me, like in the work that I'm doing, I'm looking for young, like-minded, I forgive the term, warriors. People who are willing to say, listen, can we do this better? Can we find solutions after we clean up? Yes, we do the cleanup, but where does the trash and stuff that we utilize, that we clean up, where does it go? If I track that and I think about what happens to it, is it disposed of in a responsible manner? But even beyond the responsible manner, can I use that to make something else? And there are many examples of that in terms of when you start thinking about the circular economy and about ways of being able to use the things that we will normally throw away, all right, and utilize them in a way that could give other products. Recently, I was looking at Adidas. I mean, some companies, you know, you got to be mindful of greenwashing, but some of them actually try. They're using recycled plastic to make new shoes. I like them. I would like to buy a pair. But it's about thinking about the way, because after you wear your shoes, you throw it away. Where does it go? It goes somewhere. And I can tell you, one of the places those things go is back into us. Microplastics is a huge issue. When those things break down, it actually, in fact, let me rephrase that, it never breaks down. It just gets smaller, micro size, and it goes into fish, goes into animals, and then we eat them. All right? So we have a vested interest in protecting our environment. We have a vested interest in caring about it. We have a vested interest in asking questions. So recently I did a training program for Climate Tracker for young journalists throughout the country. And I'm challenging them to ask the question, to get involved, to care about the environment, not necessarily just from a beautification point of view, which is important, don't get me wrong. That it gets people involved, it gets people to take ownership. But I'm asking for step 2, step 3, step 4, and step 5. more, right? Because literally our lives depend on it. I looked at a video we had produced where I work. I work in power and utilities, right? Spent a number of years working in the oil and gas industry. And I looked at I wouldn't call the island's name, but I looked at one of the islands that experienced the Category 5 hurricane. And it's nothing. Imagine looking as far as your eyes could see and just seeing a skyline with no buildings, no trees, nothing. All right. A few years ago, we didn't think a Category 5 would have hit the Caribbean in maybe over 100 years. Now we're expecting multiple Category 5s a year. In fact, one of the last Category 5s that hit the Caribbean was really supposed to be a Category 6, but they just don't have a category for it, so they call it a Category 5. Now, that is one side of the picture. And I never like to leave conversations with one side because there's a huge opportunity here. Outside of just looking at it as a problem, because it is a problem, what are the solutions? Imagine you're an island and you're operating, you have a road infrastructure, a building infrastructure, you have all these things that you have to maintain. But what about if you don't have to import as much products and you can utilize the local products that are available from other things that you bought? And I'm using the same road example. And I can give other examples if anybody asks any questions, but I just want to keep it simple. Using the same road example. So I don't have to import bitumen, I don't have to import as much aggregate, stones and stuff, but I can pave my roads using the same plastic bottles that we drink soft drink from, and we buy bottled goods and services, bleach and so forth, and I'm saving money. If it is I have a high power bill, right, and to generate power, I need to buy fuel oil or natural gas, but I could use the same trash that comes from our homes and through a process called pyrolysis that has been around since the 1970s, I could generate my own power, right, from trash and cut the price of power generation. I'm also reducing my import bill and saving money. And then I could take that same money and reinvest into education and all the things that are important. If I have this concept of circular economy, where the things that we see as waste all of a sudden has value because the environment has value, I can now utilize these things to help my country grow, evolve. Now, is it that simple? No. There's a lot of things that happen in the background. It's financing and who will sponsor and how you'll structure the deal and the interest rate and all the drama, but the outcome, the value is the same. So sometimes I think we have a price mindset. So I will look at something and say, oh, that's too expensive. That's the price. But I should really be having a value mindset. What value does this bring to me, to us, to all of us, generations going forward? So I was just having, I'll share a conversation that we had. And if I do not answer, oh, I saw a note from someone there. All right, no problem. I'll share a conversation we were having. There was a political discussion in Trinidad and Tobago a few years ago with the rapid rail and if we should have rapid rail, and somebody see the sticker price and say that's too expensive. Why are we spending money on that? It's like, okay. But if every day you have to spend 5 hours in traffic in your car going to a job or going to the city, what's the value of that time and money in terms of dollars and cents? And it can be calculated. What is the impact on the environment with all that exhaust from each car, that NOx that goes into the air, that people have to smell, that has been shown, right? These tiny particles that goes into the air that people smell and take into their body, that has shown to reduce life expectancy, that gives kids asthma and other respiratory issues. There is a link between pollution and health outcomes. So if we solve those issues, it could help improve the quality of life. One of the things I also looked at and admired during the COVID situation, I mean, COVID was bad, and I'm not taking anything away from the tragedy that it was, but I also saw other sides. I'm a person that always try to look at things on all sides. I would say both sides, because sometimes more than two, all sides. When the environment started to kind of catch itself back, deer and started to come into areas that you wasn't seeing them. Certain animals that they thought may have been extinct started to repopulate. Right? We have a responsibility to not destroy the thing that our entire way of life is built on. And if we don't see that, and if we don't understand that, then we lose in the picture. And if we take step 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is I look at my environment to ensure that I protect the oceans, I protect the trees, and we do the cleanup, and we show that we care. Then the other steps now is how are we going to ensure that, listen, the outcome of this goes into something else that could add even more value. All right. I think I'll close off there in terms of that one. And if you're a data nerd like me, feel free to ask me any questions about the numbers and stuff. If you just want to get an idea, more concepts, ask me anything. You know, I'm here for a little while. All right.
Thanks so much, Brendon. Really appreciate that. I think it really shows us that there's nothing such as waste that we could, recycle, reuse, repurpose, and we could just, use what we think is waste and make it into something else to benefit us as a people within, our community. We really need to develop, I think it falls really nicely within our culture. We need to develop a culture, of recycling and repurposing and reusing, because we have a culture of, rubbish, of throwing things away as garbage. So because there are other, nations that really focus on recycling and repurposing, and that is part of their culture, right? I mean, I can testify, example, in the UK, they have a separate, their garbage system is separated. They have a separate bin for bottles, a separate bin for cans, a separate bin for the household, like, biodegradable waste, etc. And they don't all dump everything in one. And then the rubbish truck comes and takes it away. So they have separate, bins for separate types of materials, because they have a culture of recycling their bottles and their cans, etc. So I think it's something that we need to really look at developing within the Caribbean, a culture where we can actually recycle, repurpose items so we could reduce our rubbish, right? Dominica, they're actually working on for the World Cleanup Day project, which falls and aligns within this, where they've identified there is a garbage and rubbish disposal situation within their community, and they're looking at, putting measures in place. So later on, Deborah will, tell us more about that. And it's all about sustainability. It's not just a one day, clean up, etc., but it's about developing that culture of having a sustainable environment and practicing, habits that will take us through the generations, and not just one day we clean up and then we go back to our habit of throwing away things on the street, into the rivers. And we are seeing the implications, with climate change. We're seeing the implications, flooding, etc., because of our waste disposal habits, clogging up our waterways, etc. So if we change these little things, if one, bottle goes into the river by 1 million people, that's 1 million bottles. And if we have 1 billion people throwing, that's 1 billion bottles. And every day you do that, think of how much, waste is clogging up our waterways and getting into, as you say, the microplastics. It's getting into our animals, our fishes, etc. And we are consuming these, and it's actually poisoning, us and reducing our life expectancy. And our health is indeed our wealth. And sometimes you don't appreciate it until, you have the challenges. speaking from experience. So we really need to, develop a culture and develop habits that will help us to sustain the environment around us and ourselves in return. Because if we don't sustain the environment, we don't have a healthy environment around us, we ourselves cannot be healthy. And this is what people fail to realize, that, you can try to be healthy, but if you don't practice habits that, sustains your environment, if you have an unhealthy environment, you yourself will be unhealthy. So we really need to work, all of us, towards creating a healthier environment in order to create a healthier life. So that is so important. The points you shared with us, Brendon, thanks so much. Really appreciate. Ricardo?
Every time I hear Brendon speak, it triggers something else, right? Which is one of the reasons, as I say, we doing podcasts and that type of thing, because there's always some depth to the way that he sees things. And the interesting thing, Brendon, when you mentioned imagining looking out and just seeing skyline because of the devastation, we have people here who've witnessed it firsthand. We have people up the islands who've they witnessed it, they experienced it, they survive it, and in stages of recovery. So we having an imagined conversation, but this is real time, real life experience. I could tell you that I remember there was a flood, there was some rainfall in Trinidad, and there was a flood that actually cut off South Trinidad from the rest of the country, and then Central from North. It was bad. It was record. Our highway was underwater, that type of thing. And there are people who, for years after that, from the time they start hearing rain falling, they feel triggered because they're wondering how bad this is going to be. There are times when you get a little gust or a heavy rain or a white rain coming, and you start thinking to yourself, do I have to move things from the yard and bring them inside, or do I have to move things from inside and carry them upstairs? How much am I going to lose this time? And unfortunately, as much as we could blame the macro system, the macroeconomic environmental failures, we have to acknowledge that we also have a local responsibility for some of the things that are happening. I love the fact that you mentioned there's trash. There are bottles that we are throwing away that could be used to fix the very same roads we have a problem driving on. And here the catch with this, we all think that is someone else littering. We all think is someone else has bad habits. We all think is someone else responsible. But the difference between fault and responsibility is it might be someone else's fault, but it might still be my responsibility. If my neighbor litters and my yard floods, my neighbor is not coming to clean my yard. So while it might be my neighbor's fault, cleaning up my yard is my responsibility. So I love that on World Cleanup Day, we have people who are physically engaged in the environment. I love that we have people who are, in terms of communication and outreach programs, engaged in the environment, and that we have people who are engaged in the environment on an administrative level. Because it cannot just be, let's clean up, take pictures, and then go back to business as usual. Clean up, take pictures, but educate and inform. Clean up, take pictures, educate and inform, but also engage. Because it cannot just be step one, step one, step one, step one. We, the facilitators in this organization, we know life before the internet, we see in life during the internet. We have a generation coming after us who are going to be holding the bags of trash that we leave behind. The people in this room going to have to clean up our mess the same way we started cleaning up a mess that our parents didn't know they were making. So it is important that while we engage, while we activate, that we empower this generation to do things differently, because they have problems to address that our generation only began to identify. So I'm going to ask you guys to be patient with the youth because they have to change the world. They have to do it differently. We have to empower this generation, these young ladies, to do things differently to the way we want them done, because the way we want them done was for a part of this thing. They have the rest of the thing to deal with. They are going to be cleaning up long after we gone. So we have to be mindful that in training, in raising, in educating, and in uplifting, we leave room for them to outgrow us. And I say that for you all young ladies to hear, because I'm not advocating for rebellion. What I am saying is that y'all are definitely going to have to be innovative, and y'all are definitely going to have to do things a bit differently to the way that we would like them done. Because our comfort zone has a time limit. We have a time limit. You guys are going to be here longer than we are. So y'all can't afford to consider our comfort zones in changing and saving the world. So I'm not advocating rebellion. But what I'm saying is that we have to stretch to grow. And that is going to make some of us uncomfortable. So in terms of today, I want to thank everyone for the efforts that they've made. Because here the catcher, you're going to see some people put in the work. And if you feel like you didn't do enough, well then, as Brendon so rightfully said, it's not a problem. It's an opportunity. Because now you could say, you know what? I could have done more. And you could get up and you could do more. So for World Cleanup Day, and as Aaron so rightfully said, the change starts with me. So maybe I could clean up the way that I'm thinking and the way that I'm feeling and start to put that out there. So thank you everyone so far for your contributions in whatever form or fashion. And I want to thank you more to those who are only going to begin to make contributions. Because it is important. We are all important. We all have a part to play. The same way, every little bit adds to the rubbish. Every little contribution adds to the solution. And if you haven't made yours yet, start. Because in the Sustainability Institute of Trinidad and Tobago, our motto is that we securing tomorrow, starting today. Start today. So that's my contribution there. I feel like good. Simone, handing back over to you.
Thanks, Ricardo. I just start today. Today is the day that we start to make that contribution towards a more sustainable environment, which we have to live in. Okay, so if we think that we have to live in it, not somebody else, but we have to live in it, then we would want to make that change. Right, so I just want to thank the girls who worked so hard on their presentations for this project. It's been really a wonderful experience. We want to open the floor first of all, if anybody has any questions, maybe for Brendon, etc., or any discussion around the topic, and then we move into the presentation. In the meantime, Guyana can get ready to present. So Guyana will present first, and then we will be followed by, let's go with Dominica. Okay, guys? So I'll allow you all to share your screen. I'll make you co-host so you can share your screen. So questions, anyone? Now is the time. Feel free, any discussions, let us know what you've learned. If you learned anything new today, anything that you're impressed with regarding World Cleanup Day, regarding the environment, regarding circular economy, regarding community and culture. Feel free to unmute your mics.
I learned that culture is the way of life of a group of people, beliefs, values, and symbols.
Thank you so much, Ariana. Wonderful. All right, well, let's go with Dominica.
Yes, hello again from a fresh and cool Dominica. All right, so I will share the presentation. Yes.
Great. Over to you.
Yeah. All right.
Greetings all. I am excited to present you to our project for World Cleanup Day as part of the Sapphire Miriam Foundation. Our project for Dominica is not just cleaning up, but the managing the waste efficiently and effectively afterwards. In our community, there are no proper garbage disposal systems. Also shown here at the Lapland apartment complex. Again, this type of garbage bin is not appropriate for a large apartment complex. Our recreational area can be potentially hazardous with no bins to dispose of garbage safely, as shown at the White River recreational area. Our team came up with the idea to make environmentally friendly garbage disposal huts. We have collaborated as a team here in Dominica, working on the project, designing the bins. Here, Kayla Maria depicted how garbage can be sorted. Also, Vincent made a lovely design in recycling bottles. Ariane depicts pollution is not a solution and highlights how to sort out garbage. And here we have Jenny highlighting the importance of protecting the environment. We have been liaising with the various authorities to make this project a reality. So far, we have had a meeting with the village council and contacted the power rep for the area, the commissioner for local government, the district development officer, and solid waste management to get this much needed ongoing project to the next phase.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
So
That
Deborah,
is
yeah, the floor is yours. You can probably give us just a little couple of seconds background on how you chose the project and how the girls collaborated and, you know, what's the plan moving forward.
Yes. Well, this has been in my mind since last year. You know, I've looked at it and I was waiting for the moment where I can do something. So when we came up with the idea through the foundation for the World Cleanup Day, and I'm like, I shared it with the girls and they're like, you know, ask them what they want to do. And they're like, yes, this is a very much needed project. So we all agreed, this is what we want to do. We want to create a long-term impact that will be beneficial to the community in the long run, and doing something sustainable. And also we look into ways of turning in our composting into gold. Next to the apartments, we have the school, a state-of-the-art school with a greenhouse. And we had discussion of how we can actually get the compost to the school so that they can use it as part of the composting. So a lot of potential for this project. We're really excited to actually plant some good seeds to bring this into fruition. Yeah. So, but I've always been an advocate of, you know, cleaning and basically, like, I was in St. Lucian, I saw this bus driver littering behind in the river, you know, just putting bottle. I said, you're a bus driver, you have to be responsible. And, you know, he's just started to fight with me, but I just don't care to get enemies, because I think, as Ricardo was saying, we're all responsible. I was walking down the road and this guy, the bin was just a few yards from him. I'm like, how can you do that? Where's the love for country? You know, can you? And he went and he picked up the bottle and walked back into the bins. So some people, they do it immediately, but some people, they have so much of a big ego, you know, but eventually it will sink in, and I know they will think about what I'm saying, and it's the right thing to do. So I just want to share, you know, as Ricardo said, we all have to be responsible. Do not be silent. Say something and educate. Let's educate each other and encourage each other for a cleaner world.
Thanks so much, Deborah. Wonderful project by Dominica. Now we'll have Trinidad. Caitlin will present.
Okay, so for World Environment Day, since it is World Environment Day, we decided to do some insight on what is World Environment Day and how we can celebrate it. And before we go into our problems that were found out in Trinidad. So first of all, what is World Environment Day? So the United Nations designated World Environment Day to highlight the protection and health of the environment is a major issue, which affects the well-being of people and economic development throughout the world. How can we celebrate World Environment Day? So there are two ways in which people can celebrate World Environment Day, by means of personal activities or by means of group activities. For example, group activities can be like planning cleanups, like beach cleanups. You can go and clean your nearby park or even a river nearby, or bringing awareness to the problems in your community, which is what we are going to be talking about later down the road. For personal activities, one can recycle old objects and turn them into something new, and you can use less water to conserve our water resources. So we have problems in the communities of Trinidad. So we have in the community of Orapooch, the problems were that there are no proper drainage, there's no proper roads, there's flooding, cutting of electrical cables, no garbage bins for the garbage collectors to pick up our garbage, and the preschools and the community center share the same space, which means that it includes the washrooms, which are not very sanitary at all because they have bats, birds, insects, rodents, and snakes living inside of them. So these are some pictures. This first picture in the corner here is a problem with drainage. Then we have the problem with the roads, flooding, of course, and the cutting and the theft of electrical cables, no proper garbage bins for the disposal of garbage, and the sharing of the same community facilities. The councillor for this area was Anil Jitaram, and his office address is in Sandy Grande. So when he was spoken to, they weren't able to reach out to him, so they spoke to a woman, but she was uncomfortable in stating her name. So basically what was said is that the public health department, which is in charge of collecting the garbage and preventing diseases, and a technical department that's also responsible for preparing faults such as roads, drainage, and so on. When the different departments were reached out to, the information was given to me was that they were aware of our situation and trying their best for greater improvement. Before the end of 2022, the councillor, Anil Jitaram, will be hosting a village council meeting concerning the threats to our village in Orapooch. When asked for the operator's name, both departments weren't pleased to share their private information. The information about our approach was given to us by one of our fellow gems, Miss Nadia. Now we have in the region of Tabaquite, in the community of Tabaquite, the problems were there's the cave-in of the Gasparilla Bonaventure main road, which causes traffic pileup on a daily basis, and it poses a threat to the drivers on the roadway as it's getting narrower day by day. There's also overgrown grass, and it's a problem because it can become a habitat for snakes and rats and other dangerous factors that can potentially hurt citizens in our area. It allows for thieves also to hide very easily from their victims. This image here is a picture of the cave-in of the Gasparilla Bonaventure main road. And this is overgrown grass in Mary Street in Gasparilla. The councillor for this area was Shafran Naveed Ali. The address of the office is in the Gasparilla Bonaventure main road. So unfortunately, we were not able to get any response from any of our local councillors, neither by phone or contact in person meeting. This information about the Tabaquite problems in Gasparilla Bonaventure area was presented by Caitlin Shreyan Sanchez. So to end up this presentation, I'd like to say a happy World Environment Day to everybody. And once you remember that we are all in this together and we can protect our home because we live on the same plate. I'd like to thank you for your time and happy World Environment Day again.
Thank you very much, Caitlin, Shreya, and Sanji for their contribution, and to Nadia as well. Well done. Thank you, Caitlin, for the presentation. And in Trinidad, a couple of the problems were highlighted within the community of Vega de Oropouche and also in Tabaquite. And as we can see, roads are a problem, which Brendon was speaking about earlier on. We have problems with our roads collapsing. It's causing problems with traffic, which Brendon spoke about. So these are, some real problems, that we're experiencing in Trinidad. That's impacting on the environment, on our community, and our people. Okay, we can see what's happening within the community of Vega de Oropouche with respect to the utilization of the community facilities, and things that need upgrading. Okay, so we will be encouraging the girls to continue working together with their local representative in order to advocate change within these communities. So we thank you again, young ladies, for your contribution. We will be moving into the Guyana presentation.
Good morning, all. I would like to have Rihanna doing her presentation for us. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're going to put up Rihanna's presentation. Rihanna, are you there?
Yes, miss.
Okay.
Good morning, all. Good morning, all. I protocol observe. I protocol observe. It is a great pleasure to introduce myself. This is my greatest pleasure to introduce myself. My name is Rihanna Lucius. I'm 14 years old. My task this morning, I will be presenting World Environment Day. You will read all of when it is on this side. You will read what is on the other side to explain the petty photos. You will stay. This is region 4 in garbage morning mini area. Family being affected by food, a family house, community shops, dealing with work in champ. Wait a second.
Or it's not doing a slideshow. This is meant to be a slideshow. Perhaps you should start.
Yeah, let's put on slide view. So
yeah, in slide view.
You're reading too much. Yes, miss. It's a slideshow.
Okay, well, from the beginning, click from the beginning and go. Yeah, go click on slideshow. Slideshow, right? And then from the beginning. Very good. Excellent. And you can open your screen. Good.
Great. So we're going to go into the second slide. Rihanna, go ahead. Go ahead, Rihanna.
Read the slide, Rihanna.
What is environment? Environment can be defined as the term in which a person, animal, or plant live or national world as a whole as affected by human activities.
Next slide.
This is how this is a region 7th look when the place is flooded. Most of the house get breaking down and washed out. This is in region 4. This is how the drainage looks. The places be flood, most snakes, alligators, and so get into people's house. The drainage be blocked up by leaves, things coming from other people's kitchen, going down the sinkhole and blocking up the drainage from water to run. Jesus. This is me explaining Good morning to all my colleagues. My name is Rihanna Lucius. I am the eldest of two. It is my greatest pleasure to introduce myself at this forum. I represent in region number 4 and I am representing my beautiful country Guyana on this satisfying day, World Environment Day. Thank you. This is we cleaning up the areas we live in, picking up garbage and so on. This is people farm getting washed out by the rain, so they can't plant like they have corns and so on. When the rain fall, it washed it up, so they don't really have foods and so on for them. This is the drainage blocked up, flooding out other people, places, and so on. The yard be damp and wet, so they can't walk properly. Kids have to go to school with their shoes dirty once the place have mud, and when the place is wet. And this is how respond for the areas they plant. They have a little farm, they plant things and so on. Oh, Jesus.
Or Guyana, from the ancient county of Berbice, region number 6. What we do to preserve the environment. We grow our crops organically by using fuels from our kitchen to make fertilizers.
Good afternoon, I'm Hemwati from Guyana, Region 6, East Berbice Quarantine. Over here I have some sweet peppers, they are grown organically. Recently there were some pests in the garden, something that we call cricket. But I didn't use any pesticide, I used pepper water and soap powder to get rid of them. Presently I'm having some problems with water logging in the farm, so I'm getting my drains in order so the water can move, and I'm setting up the sprinkling system.
This is what the flood caused. It get minor damages. People house be broken, the roofs be flying off, the woods be rattled, cause the water be rotting in the woods and so on. This is what it looks like in Guyana when it's floods. Snakes be going into people's house. Some kids' boots be getting snakes and so on inside. Trees be falling and so on. This is we trying to clean out the drainage. People going to clean out the drainage when it's full up with grass. So on, so the water could run. This is how in region 8, house get when it's flood. It meet to the roof. People have to come out to their houses because they have nowhere to sleep. And so
Just start back. Hmm.
Good afternoon. 8826, Landscaper, Saudi Gravesandi, Madja, in collaborating with Environmental
Protection Agency.
Agency. You can start to work again and catch up environment.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am. 8826, Landscaper, Saudi Gravesandi. I'm here with the connection environmental survey in connection with floodings and so that affecting you in the area.
Well, the main thing that affecting this area is flooding, right? And the causing the creek, you know, so down is so low. And then what has happened really? This water running here coming from all different places. And as the water keep running down and coming down now, the sand just keep flowing down. So when you see the water pull off now, the sand is high in the creek. So when you see rainfall now, the water is getting for run out as it's supposed to, because every time the water keep running down, the sand keep building up and building up and building up. So to me, the solution for that is for the creek keep digging and maintain. You understand? Because there's the problem now when you see the maintenance, the drainage system in thing, it do cause me flooding, because the water now coming down from the top there now, it ain't getting for run off into the creek properly if it keep going. So some of the water now just start running at the top here. So when the rain fall now, the water start running at the top here now, it's coming out there, out of this culvert here.
The water was coming down from hilltop.
Yes.
It just flow across and it.
Yeah.
Okay,
no,
okay.
When a heavy rainfall take place, right? You know, there's got some heavy rainfall.
Yeah.
They got a big black pipe that is used to run the water out. Well, they black up. And that's due to the same sand thing now, they keep blacking and blacking. So the black thing black up there now, so the water bust back now and start flow over the culvert. If you
And
look,
do
you
it.
can see we make a little bump there now for prevent it from coming back this side.
Okay, so the water doing its own thing, because remember, you ain't got the flow that it could come down to the creek. And if it come down to the creek now, the creek full, so it can't flow to the creek.
Yes.
Okay.
So what happened now, if you look, we put a little barang, a little high thing there now, then so just give it a little thing for continue on, Mr. Because when the rain falls,
A survey in connection with things that from the Environmental Protection Agency, right? They just want to know whether it affect y'all and how these floods be affecting y'all in this area. So you could just explain what's going on.
Yeah. First of all, the culvert to the people that put on the road, culvert no low. Whenever when the water come, the culvert going over the road. The water coming over the culvert. The first thing, the culvert be low. And the next thing, this place was dredging out. Can you quick fight? You see sand at the top of the water.
Yeah, I can see it. Because,
they got other places more in front down there they're high.
Yeah, the water can't flow.
The water can't get the flow it's supposed to go. But the place dredge out and get the thing more deep. You can get the lesser flow and get something to widen it a little more. You can get a better flow of water, value of water for keep. So instead the water rise, it can the right the part it's supposed to. So we won't get a big side of effect where it's get like where it's get right now.
And then get this big start of flooding.
No.
So what about the culvert them, the
black to the culvert them and one more extra instead of 3. So they get 4.
Okay.
Instead of 2, matter of fact, 2 they got on this one. Instead of 2, they get 4.
Okay.
So the value was whenever the soon rains shape up, you are there on the road because when you are don't remember
you can't flow through the culvert. Okay. That's it.
So they got other people yesterday gonna get after they yet still they don't do nothing about it.
Okay, well I know and it's you business places, so when this thing happen you have to laugh.
Yeah, because they have to shut down because they flood out.
Yeah, I know, I see
They
it.
have to shut down the whole complete thing.
Yeah, I see it.
Flood out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is something new to do.
Yeah,
Have to
okay,
do
you
back over
can.
again.
And it's a fun park for children.
Children.
Yeah.
And this cost me over $560,000 right now for settle back. And then when you talk, nobody ain't got nothing to do.
Yeah, I know this thing is going, but
Yeah, the day me rainfall, flood out the whole thing there, they just give me some. The whole house, everything, you have to sleep in the hotel. Where they come, we have a bag with bleach and soap powder and thing. I got the shop, I got everything inside the shop. But what happened with me last is the freeze and thing we have to buy back. Nobody ain't concerned about that.
and just because of this creek.
Just because of this creek. This creek judge out, it will be better for everybody, not me alone.
Well, I think the environmental agency would get a.
Well, for the flooding, yeah, we do. Some people do face flooding, yeah, but that doesn't mean they would stop farming or and they started just that we gotta look for higher ground for the farming. And around the area, like where we live in the village, as you can see where I live, I live between two creeks, and when the rainfall, I do get flood in the corner here. So my little garden that I get in the corner, it do flood.
Okay.
Yeah. That is on my part, or I notice around here. I guess people elsewhere, I don't know if it do affect them as how it would affect me in this area here.
Okay, so you think like the would affect I would say the environment, right? To affect the environment, like garbage and people should clean the creek or.
Yeah, well, we need the creek to be clean. Indeed, that as we were saying last night, that people do, put garbage at the creek side or mostly at the back. And when the rain fall and the waterways, all the garbage tends to float down, block up the creek.
Okay.
So you can't get a clear flow of the water.
Okay.
Yeah. And people normally litter all over. They go to the creek, they step out their soap powder or whatever plastic, or some people tend to take out the baby pump or just dump it right there and things like that. And these things as polluting the water as well as blocking the water from getting a clear flow.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for the input. Right, and you're welcome. Okay.
Thank you very much, Rihanna, for that wonderful presentation. Great work. And thank you for being so brave. We appreciate it. What we can do is we have Dr. Juppy and Deli Angelis from the US. So we can do Deli Angelis. She's got a TikTok. In the meantime, we'll be waiting on that presentation, right? And then we'll get back to Guyana. So Dr. Robin Juppy, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Simone. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. Let me tell you, I am so impressed with all of the presentations that have been shown thus far. And it really is educational and enlightening to me, because you hear about these things, you read about these things, but to actually see them and see what's going on in people's environments and living conditions can be a little overwhelming. And the girls showed very well done. They showed exactly what's going on in their communities and how they're approaching it. And like the last one, the responses, well done. Kudos to all. In the United States, of course, it's the country is huge, and it's interesting because you have the political arena as well that's involved. Like where I live, we pay for trash removal. So you will never come into certain areas and neighborhoods and see any type of waste, any type of flooding, any type of trash or garbage that's left over. As a matter of fact, if any one of the citizens in the community had trash, they would be fined. They'd have to pay a penalty for having that. So it's just interesting how the perspectives and situations can be different depending on where you live in the world. So Deli Angelis is my goddaughter. We talked about the approach. Some of the girls from the US are in different states, so it's kind of hard to come collectively together for in the interest of time. We just didn't have time to do that. So Deli did the presentation representing the United States, and it's basically the approach is what does our world look like with trash, with the environment not being nurtured or cared for, and what it could look like if everyone would do their part. We're all pieces to this puzzle. If everybody would do their part, we'd have, a clean world. Everybody would have great living conditions. Each one help one, right? And so Deli did a TikTok and that pretty much demonstrates that very quick, very, simplistic approach, but very real. So she's going to share her screen and show you that message. Are you ready, Deli? Hopefully she is.
This is what our world looks like. But if everyone helps to clean, this is what it could look like. Stop the pollution.
But the message is very simple. She showed what the world looks like with pollution. And even for her, in comparison to others that we saw today, that's not her world. That's not, the situation around her. Certainly in the city where we live, we could find areas like that, but it's not our reality on a daily basis. And so always being sensitive to others and giving back is exactly what, we talk about and do. Always, paying it forward and going and helping where we can. She wanted to demonstrate what looks like. Like, as I said, we can find areas in our city where we live that looks like the TikTok that she presented. So hopefully that's sharing the message of what goes on in the United States. I mean, you saw the housing community. That's where, that's realistic, and every state you can find either or. So hopefully she shared the message well enough to get the point across for what goes on in the US. So thank you for allowing her to share.
Thank you very much, Dr. Robin Joppy, and thank you, Deli Angelis. That was great work. It really showcases the different problems in different territories, because we're seeing what's happening, in the Caribbean and South America, and we're seeing what's happening in the US, and it's totally different, issues. But then again, it all pertains to the environment that we live in. The TikTok clearly showed, how the place looks at first, and then how, persons coming together to clean, and how the place would look after. It's really, really wonderful. Thanks so much for that information on the TikTok. And it's really great to see the variety of presentations, because we have, the use of media in the sense of TikTok, social media, and we have the presentations via PowerPoint. We have, the videos, voicing and the presentations, etc. So we really appreciate the variety. With regards to presenting the information. You're welcome, Deli Angelis. It's lovely to have you on board. So we're going to be going back across to Guyana shortly. Now is the time that you can interact, ladies. Any information you want to, share with us regarding world cleanup, regarding the environment, regarding problems in your community, feel free. Okay, so you can unmute Diane. Right. If not, we'll go through Diane's presentation. There are a couple of videos in it, so it'll just automatically play for itself. Diane seems to be having some issues maybe with her internet. So again, they've defined the what is the environment, and we can see that's the natural world. as a whole affected by human activities. So there's many ways in which the environment can be harmed, and improper garbage disposal obviously is a major issue, which we've seen highlighted in Dominica as well. Contaminated water, excessive smoke. We've seen in the TikTok the smoke, within the city areas. Oil spills as well is very prevalent in the Caribbean. The effects of a bad environment, environmental pollutants, and we're seeing that obviously it's harming our bodies. We spoke about the relationship between the environment and our health, shortening our lifespan if we live in a toxic environment. Respiratory diseases, types of cancer due to the pollutants, etc. Okay, and obviously children, pregnant women can be harmed. Again, we see the factory smoke similar to the TikTok, what Dele Angeles did.
Air pollution consists of chemicals or particles in the atmosphere that pose serious health and environmental threats. But what causes air pollution, and what does it mean for our planet? Some air pollution comes from natural sources like volcanic eruptions, wildfires, or allergens. But most air pollution results from human activities, such as energy use and agriculture. There are different types of human-made air pollution. When we burn fossil fuels to produce energy, they release greenhouse gases into the air. These emissions, such as carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and fluorinated gases, trap heat from the sun in Earth's atmosphere, leading to a rise in global temperatures. This creates a cycle where air pollution contributes to climate change, and climate change creates higher temperatures. In turn, higher temperatures intensify some types of air pollution. For example, climate change increases smog because it forms in the presence of high heat and increased levels of ultraviolet radiation. More frequent extreme weather, such as flooding, contributes to damp conditions and therefore to a rise in mold. Warmer weather also leads to longer pollen seasons and therefore more pollen production. Smog is a type of air pollution that reduces visibility and has serious health effects. Smog can be divided into two categories: sulfurous and photochemical. Sulfurous smog is made up of chemical compounds called sulfur oxides. It occurs when burning sulfur-bearing fossil fuels such as coal. Photochemical smog, also called ground-level ozone, is a result of the reaction between sunlight, nitrogen oxides, and volatile organic compounds. Nitrogen oxides come from car exhaust, coal power plants, and factory emissions. Volatile organic compounds are released from gasoline, paints, and many cleaning solvents. Smog not only creates a brown haze that reduces visibility, but also harms plants, irritates the eyes, and causes respiratory distress. Another category of air pollution is toxic pollutants. These are chemicals such as mercury, lead, dioxins, and benzene that are released during gas or coal combustion, waste incineration, or burning of gasoline. In addition to adverse environmental effects, toxic air pollution can cause serious health problems such as cancer, reproductive complications, and birth defects. While air pollution has many consequences for our planet, there are solutions. We can limit toxic pollutants, smog, and greenhouse gases by decreasing the use of fossil fuels, such as in transportation, manufacturing, and electricity generation. Reducing air pollution not only contributes to a cleaner environment and better human health, but can also slow the rate of global warming.
What is land pollution? It's when we destroy our land's surface. when humans throw chemicals in the form of pesticides, insecticides and fertilizers during agriculture practices. The exploitation of minerals has also contributed to the destruction of the Earth's surface. And finally, waste, which is collected and sent to landfills, where the pollution actually begins. These are some of the main types of land pollution. Unfortunately, there are many more types. There can be catastrophic consequences of land pollution. Their relation to humans, animals, and water. And finally, soils. It can cause breathing problems and skin problems and various cancers. How can we prevent land pollution? By recycling, by reusing, and last of all, by reducing. Thanks for watching.
What is water pollution? Water pollution refers to the contamination of lakes, oceans, rivers, aquifers, and groundwater. Unsurprisingly, in most cases today, water pollution is a result of human activity. When contaminants are introduced into the natural environment, there is pollution, maybe in the air, water, or land. Water pollution has become an extremely serious problem in many parts of the world. Water pollution is our second most imperative environmental concern after air pollution. Air pollution includes the release of particulates and harmful substances into the atmosphere. The pollution of our waters is one of the consequences of uneconomic growth. Uneconomic growth refers to GDP growth that leads to more harm than good. In some parts of the world, water pollution has reached horrific levels. Water pollution has become a growing concern over the last 100 years. We are disposing of more and more of our waste in our rivers, oceans, and lakes. Not only is this ever-growing water pollution damaging the environment, but it is also harming our food supply. Hundreds of millions of people across the world today cannot get clean drinking water. Drinking dirty or polluted water can cause serious illness and even death. Prolonged periods of bad water consumption can also cause leukemia. In this image, a small dam created a wetland-like area where waterborne pollution was trapped. After the removal of the dam, pollution had a straight shot downstream. According to Antronic, a single man cleaned up this river on his own. On his way to work, he picked up a bit of trash each day. Just look at the difference after 1 month. Thank you for watching this Market Business News video on water pollution.
Guyana, from the ancient county of Berbice, region number 6. What we do to preserve the environment.
The PPPC administration has amped up its extensive efforts to keep Guyana clean. As a result, many citizens have expressed sincere satisfaction over the work completed in the last few days. We're in the vicinity of the border market, one of the many areas that saw a massive cleanup campaign over the last few days. We spoke with citizens and residents in the area to hear their thoughts on the initiative.
Well, in terms of the cleaning up, we're happy about that, because the place is very filthy and we think it's much healthier now.
The cleanup is very nice. I feel so happy this morning when I came, right? I see the road very nice, very clean. Watch at the back there. They come and clean up the thing, everything clean.
I just think it's a good initiative and I'm happy about it. It was in a filthy state, very filthy state. Because of the condition of the market, that is why people don't come and shop. When people see that the environment is clean, they will come and shop.
We also traveled to other parts of the city where cleaning was done to talk to citizens at the various locations.
Well, when I came to work this morning, looking at the streets and the resource parapets, I noticed there is, as a result of the massive cleanup campaign by the government, it significantly enhanced the aesthetics of Georgetown. This intervention is welcome, seeing that Gaia is a business-driven organization. We attended to customers every day, and the level of garbage in the streets is a turn off for customers.
Cleaning up shows a lot of love about your own environment, about your own people, taking care of each other. It's important, but it shows to the world as well that you, as a community, you go ahead, right? And I think as a tourist here, it shows also that you care for the city you live in. Huh?
When I come out this morning and see the place, it told me like it looked more healthy, the environment looked more healthy, and most situation was very nice. And I would like to thank the authority. I must thank them a lot for what they've done to the city. And we all should play a role to help to keep it clean. I'm glad how they clean up right now. And if they can make it a driveway, that some of the buses can go around and park in there, and as you're coming out, you can load and go land.
Well, Joey Lane, we can't drive through there at all. Now we could drive through, So that's good, that's good. Shortcut because Sheriff, she got a lot of traffic now. The city council, as far as I'm concerned, I see you fighting the government. There's no one notice it. You should glad they're helping you to clean the city, And the minister and all helping you out too. You should glad for that.
I think they're lacking in certain areas. Their work is to help keep the city clean, but apparently they always short the staff, short material, short equipment, and the work don't be done. They just talk, and no action. But I think they should have been out here with the government to show the solidarity.
The people on the street there, down Joey Lane, they're the best thing I ever seen in a long time. You that comfortable now, I don't do exercise every afternoon, and now you that comfortable.
It never should happen in the first place, being that the government or the city hall, the people of the city hall, they come and litter town. It's the very citizens and vendors and store owners that are responsible. And we as citizens should take more responsibility.
On Saturday and Sunday last, the president and other members of cabinet participated in a 2-day cleanup campaign around the capital city, along with members of the joint forces. These works are expected to be taken to other parts of the country.
Thanks very much. Diane, do you want to say a word in closing of your presentation?
Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. Thank you so much. I must apologize for my internet and my bad part that is hitting me. I also want to thank Rihanna for her efforts and her positive presentation. Today I want to touch on, I want to say happy environmental day for the world at large. I want to leave a little with us from my understanding, the balance of nature. Within the environmental quality means the balance of nature being composed of animals, plants, natural resources, and man-made objectives.
All right, seems as though we probably lost Diane there. Internet, yeah, we have. Okay, so I just want to congratulate Guyana and Diane and Rihanna for their great work. It's been a wonderful presentation, very detailed. We saw responses, from persons within the community with regards to flooding, how it's affecting them, and how the cleanup, has been taking place, and persons being very grateful as to, the cleaning up of the environment and the benefits it's bringing to them and their businesses. So we can see that the positive impact of cleanup taking place within the various communities in Guyana. I must say that a lot of work, a lot of research has gone into their presentation. I just want to congratulate Rihanna for being so brave and Diane for their great work. Thanks to everyone who've participated in the project and done your research, and put the effort in to make this project a success. Close, and our next session would be on the 3rd Saturday in October. So you will get your emails before that. Plus we'll have a special session as well, which is a separate, will be in like an evening session as a separate session. So we'll keep you informed. So thank everybody again for coming. It's been a wonderful time having you all here. You want to close out, Ricardo?
No, I just want to thank everyone for the time and for the efforts that went into the projects and for the efforts that will go into impacting your community, environment, and culture going forward. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, guys. And I want to say thanks to our sponsors, the Trust Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago, and to NGC, National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago, for making these sessions possible. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.
Thanks, 170. Bye-bye.
Bye.